and gentlemen, it is obvious that Kamala has seen the polls. Even though she and her camp are now putting out articles saying, don't look at the polls, ignore the polls, she obviously has seen them. She knows that she is dropping. She knows she's in trouble, especially with a certain demographic, specifically young men. And coincidentally, these are the people that Trump's entire campaign has basically been tailored towards. I mean, his 18-year-old son, Barron, is literally the one who is directing him on which podcast he should go on. I mean, like Theo Vaughn, Andrew Schultz, Lex Friedman, Impulsive, doing streams with Aiden Ross. Like, he is winning the attention of young men by genuinely meeting them where they actually are. And while I wish that he would have at least done like one thing with a woman who is not just a Fox News anchor, this is an important demographic for him to reach. You know, men are increasingly leaning right, they're coming to faith, but they don't vote as much as women. Women have been outpacing men at the polls since the 1980s. But Trump might change that, and I think that Kamala is terrified. So she unleashed a plan, and it is quite possibly the best worst thing I have ever seen. Now, we know that Kamala and the Democrats are getting desperate because as they're coming down to the wire with this election, they started knocking out these ads one after another just this week, starting with this empowering, rousing ad on what it means to be a man. I'm sure you guys have seen this on X, but if not, let's roll the clip.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I don't think you know what a carburetor is.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
Like that specific man saying that, knowing that it's about abortion, is quite frankly the creepiest thing I've ever seen. It's weird. Do you not see how absurd this is? And also, I think it's a complete lie that you guys are not afraid of women because clearly you're all gay. Actually, we're going to talk about that later, but I genuinely think they all are. Anyway, we'll finish this.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope
Trad.
she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for direction.
This is how men sit. Do I look masculine to you? What the f*** are you doing? And we're only 45 seconds into this 90-second ad. Like, how much more trauma can I endure?
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
We're going to talk about that later. That is literally so dumb. Who cares about Little Women? Little Women is an exceptional novel. Every young woman should read.
Man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
Tim Walz is man enough to do something in front of a horse. That's a rumor. Don't take my word for it.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
I don't know if you really love women.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
Man up, get involved, go vote. How is this not an SNL skit? This cannot be real, and yet I'm so sorry to say it is. Eating carburetors, banning girls from reading Little Women, like it is so far-fetched, and yet the most ridiculous thing is that this is literally their reality. This is not a parody. They were like, yeah, men are gonna love this. This is how we see men.
The f was that? Do you think that's what I do?
The producer of this ad originally posted it on TikTok, and the accolades just started pouring in. But from who? Well, women. Obviously, men did not like this ad, but women. One gal said, "This is so good. Big high fives to all of you. Blue Democratic heart, blue Democratic heart." God, it's all over TikTok. Somebody else said, "Does that level of cringe appeal to anyone, even their most ardent fan base?" Unfortunately, yes. Like, it's so upsetting. But again, it's all women. Somebody said, "I love how this is so masculine. I'm sharing this with my husband." And it's always the women. Like Jennifer Gardner, who's getting ripped to shreds for saying this.
You are the front lines. This is it. I mean, I'm looking at these beautiful faces, these women, and at these strong men. God, is there anything sexier than a man who's like men for Kamala?
I mean, you might think it's sexy, but it's not. And the men are nowhere to be found. I mean, I literally think in that crowd, she was like, all the women and the men, wherever you might be. Now, those two ads that we just watched were made independently of the direct Kamala and Walz team. It was from a different interest group, again, Creatives for Kamala, but their direct campaign is not exempt from the cringe because amidst all of this chaos on social media, they decided that it would be the perfect time to say send Tim Walz out to do some hunting with the bros to show that he is a cool Midwestern gun-toting man. But, he could not even figure out how to load his Beretta shotgun. And yes, they kept it in the video. Like this, it even is just a stupid marketing error. Like, do you guys not know that doesn't look cool? They're like, oh yeah, look at him loading the gun. He can't even figure it out. You could have just edited out of the video, made a cool hype video as cool as it can be. But no, you literally left him being incompetent in the video because you know so little about hunting and about guns. So I think that just goes to show that Tim Walz is not much of a hunter. And I don't know if Men Online will ever let him live that down. So needless to say, the media stunt did not work. So instead, they decided to take a different route. Maybe he wasn't as good with real guns, so they sent him to a World of Warcraft stream. This is from Wired. Tim Walz rally goes live on a World of Warcraft Twitch stream. This is the latest chapter of the Kamala Harris campaign's effort to reach young male voters. Yeah, this is the closest that Tim Walz has ever come to real combat. Boom. Mic drop.